Today we are going to work on an '05 Ford Expedition 5.4 liter 3-valve Triton engine. The customer's complaint is that the battery goes dead overnight, so there is a draw on the battery. So I connected my ammeter between the negative cable and the negative on the battery and found out it had about an 8.5 amp drain on it. So it would show about 8.5 amps for about 10 seconds. Then it will turn off to about roughly 500 milliamps for about 38 seconds. And then it will turn back on 8.5 amp draw again. So every 39 seconds it will draw 8.5 amps. So I went to the fuse panel, which is located on the passenger side kick panel, right here. And I started removing fuses until my amperage was gone, until it quit kicking on the 8.5 amps. I just started here and worked my way down, and I found out that this fuse right here, it's a 25 amp fuse, mini fuse. That's the one I pulled, and then it quit kicking on the 8.5 amp draw. That fuse number is number 20, which does the liftgate glass relay and the door lock motors and the wiper motor for the rear. So then I came to the rear of the vehicle, opened the trunk here, and I took out the cover. It's got some plastic screws that go here and here, and then it's got two T25 Torx screws holding the handle. So remove those two screws, remove this screw and this screw, and then your panel will pop off and it comes straight out. And I also remove the upper panel too. So this right here is the rear wiper motor, and I laid my hand on it and it was hot as a match. So after I did some investigating, I found out that the problem is the transmission for the rear wiper motor. So I removed the rear wiper arm, which has got a 13mm nut right here. Took the nut off, and then just gracefully kind of just wiggle that off of there. Set that to the side. Then you pop this cover off and it exposes that 24mm nut. After you remove that nut, you got two bolts right here that hold on here and right there, and the thing just falls right out. So here's the old one out here on the bench. And as you can tell, I can't push it at all with my fingers. I can't, it's just seized up. This one right here is a new one, and as you can tell, it moves rather freely. And what's happening is that the rear wiper, it wants to park. It wants to go in a position where it's supposed to rest. And because this is seized up, it won't let the wiper rest. And so every 38 seconds it retries. Tries to put it back where it should go, but it won't go. But it's supposed to go to the certain spot it's supposed to rest. So what you have to do is you have to get this piece right here, which is the transmission. See this part number, it's right there. And then the old part number, I think, here's some numbers right there for the old one. So now I need to put this back in. So I put the two new bolts back in. You might want to paint this before you take it off, or you can just see where the old one was, because it has to be lined up correctly. And I just kind of went by where the old one was. Then I tighten those two bolts down. And now I'm installing my 22mm nut on the outside. So I want to tighten this at 13 foot-pounds. These two nuts will tighten to 53 inch-pounds. And now I want to put my cover on. And now I'm going to put my wiper arm, try to get it lined up to there. And I'm going to torque this nut to 11 foot-pounds. Okay, a couple quick snafus I ran into was I had to re-loosen this after I operated it and get it back to where it should be, which is roughly right about there. But as you can tell, it does work now. And now we don't have a current draw. So now let's test it out and make sure it opens and closes. Use my remote here. Works like a charm. And then the button. Yeah, so alrighty. Well, apparently it's a pretty common problem to have on these vehicles for having the battery die on you overnight. So I want to check that out first. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and we'll catch you next time.